The handouts for this session are after Nikitna's, so after that pink paper will be everything to do with contextualized learning. Also, if you would like to disseminate any of these handouts to any of your staff or need a digital copy, they are in the Skill Up Directors course for you there as well. All right, so we spent this morning talking about team teaching, and after this we're going to talk about SSLOs. So Cindy and I want to hone in on three things here: how to define contextualized instruction and really reframing it as just good instruction in general across all levels, and also how to support your instructors in the development and planning of effective contextualized instruction. All right, so why is this important? In planning integrated and contextualized learning, the focus is on using relevant content areas for context instruction. So this is simultaneously doing those academic skills, the soft skills, and the career skills all in one. Research suggests that contextualizing your curriculum is going to accelerate your learner progress and also make it more sticky for them. So,
okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to explore how to look at contextualized instruction and what your teachers are being taught in the LINKS Contextualized Instruction course that they're taking, as well as what you'll be seeing on our TSTM, which is our Teaching Skills That Matter webinars. And we also want to show you the approach all teachers can take at all levels of the career pathways in our models: the foundation, the bridge, and into IET. Those teachers that are teaching at the foundation and bridge level will benefit from these strategies, because they will be able to think about what are all the skills that the students need to know for a certain career or career sector. Now, your team teachers have a little bit more of an advantage because they're going to have those SSLOs to benefit from and to have that content teacher. But at the bridge and the foundation level, the teacher will have to decide what careers that she's going to look at, he or she's going to look at. And because she's going to have, he or she is going to have various career pathways in their classroom. We know that at the foundation and bridge level, you could have, if you had 10 students, you could actually have 10 different career pathways, right? Because the students are looking at different things that they want to go through. So that teacher's going to have to narrow the focus, and they're going to have to think about the content that's going to benefit all the students in the classroom. So what we're going to look at is this 4-square graphic organizer, and that should be your first handout. Now for teachers, this will help the teacher to see the skills that are needed, and they can choose what to use in their instruction to balance that content and the academics, as well as your workforce skills. And we're throwing in there also the digital literacy skills, because we know those are so important. Now for you as a director, you can use this same graphic organizer to look at your teachers' lesson plans and to decide, do they have everything in the lesson plan? Are they balancing that content and the academic skills also? So if you, let's go to the next slide. These are some examples of types of skills that you could fill in those boxes with. Of course, this is not exhaustive. These are just some examples. Every career has, well, if you get started, you can tell that every career has many, many skills that are needed on the job. And many times people get out on the job and they think, wow, I wasn't prepared for this part of the job, because there are so many skills. And until you get on the job, you don't really get into all of those things. So what we want to look at, and I think we put these that are on here on the on that handout also. But for academic skills, we have to be very careful that we don't get so much into the content that we forget that we are integrating those academic skills into that content instead of just teaching the workplace content. We've got to make sure that our students are getting ready for those reading and writing and math skills that they're going to see on the HSE test. So you have to think about reading and interpreting graphs, the geometry or algebra, or most of the time it'll be fractions and decimals and things like that in the math. And then being able to read and understand those manuals and policies that they'll find in that workplace. The professional skills, these are some of the skills that they talk about. These are the skills that matter, and many of these skills are taught in our Smart Start class. Things like problem solving, time management, conflict resolution, team building, those types of things. And then you've got your career. I think that should have been career or sector skills. Sorry about that on the slide. But these are the things that where they really have to get into that career. You know, taking vital signs, checking the food temperatures to make sure that they're safe, creating blueprints or projects and things like that that are specific to that career. And then we have the digital literacy skills, and we know that that's very important. That's one of the reasons that the state has bought the site license for North Star, and we want to make sure that you have those in each one of your programs and that that's running right. If it's not, get with me, because we want to make sure that you're able to make that available to your teachers. So we're going to try this out. So get your hand out, and we're going to look at skills needed by food service workers. And we want you to think about all the skills that a food service worker might need. Things that will help them to be successful in this industry. And what we want you to do is at your table, we want you to brainstorm and add 2 or 3 in each one of those 4 square domains. We want you to record that on your graphic organizer. We want you to choose a speaker for your table and a note taker, and be prepared to share out. We're going to give you 5 minutes to do that. Remember, we want 2 to 3 skills in each one of the domains. Food service worker. Food service worker. Okay, time is up. Okay, so this is the way we're going to do this. I'm going to come around, and your table group is going to tell us the academic skills first. You'll just give us your 2. And then we'll get all the academic skills on the Post-it paper, and then we'll go to the other skills, okay? I'll start on this side first, and then next time we'll start. Okay, let's start. Academic. Okay.
So under academic skills, reading a thermometer and measurements.
Who's your spokesperson? Okay. Academic skills.
We had measurements also, and then we also had like our food vocabulary. Oh, along with my measurements, we also had ratios.
Who's our spokesman?
We had measuring also, and then we had charts and graphs.
Who's our
We had measurements also, and we put math skills and reading and writing.
We had those other things, but we also got conversion from standard to metric and back and forth.
Who's our spokesperson?
Under the math, we had, of course, measurements like others. We had handling money because sometimes that's part of food service, the roles they have to play.
And they also had reading instructions.
We have reading and specifically sequencing, and maybe math with payroll, measurement, money, fractions, ratios.
Who's my person here?
We also had reading and measurements.
We have science as far as cleaning with chemicals and allergens or what have you. And then just understanding basic culinary arts terminology and, you know, the equipment and what have you.
Who's my person?
We had measurement, reading, recipe, and conversion.
All right, good job. All right, what about the professional skills? These are those workplace skills, we call them workforce skills, right? All right, I'm starting this way.
I know, it's hot. The last is always the first. Communication, good time management, and being able to prioritize when they're in the back fixing food.
Oh, wait, I forgot to get my academics from these other.
I'm advocating for them over here.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Carla, we see y'all now. All right, y'all ready? Who's going?
This was a.
Okay, Carla, we can't hear you just yet. Hold on.
Okay, so for the academic, the serve-safe skills like sanitation and being able to find the right food temperatures and all that. And then, which one did you just ask for? Professional skills? Yeah. That would be like your communication, your teamwork, all that financial literacy, time management, organization skills.
Time management, of course, and customer service, because customer service is lacking right now, and food service.
If you had the same thing, just let us know that it was the same thing.
We have problem solving, and it was the same as she said earlier.
Same thing? Did y'all have anything different? Anybody have anything different? Anything different than's already on the board? Okay. All right. What have we got next? Our career sector skills. Oh, they're up underneath it. Yeah. All right.
Following directions.
That's it. Okay.
We talked about serve safe, like your food temperatures and sanitation.
Same thing? Don't have anything different? No?
We got meal planning, diet planning for special Dietary, I doubt you needs one.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
We talked about serve safe, but we talked about first aid also, problems that occur in kitchen type areas. There you go, cut that thing.
Y'all have anything different?
Recipe preparation and execution, and then scheduling.
We have food and beverage pairing, heavy lifting, dining, cleanliness, and inventory.
Yeah, it's already up there.
Okay. Y'all have anything different?
Career sector. Oh, like cutting, chopping skills, and equipment usage.
Equipment usage. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now digital literacy skills. All right, oh, let me go back to her.
Inventory.
Okay, so she said inventory, like maybe a digital,
Right, but.
okay.
Taking orders and processing refunds, like if you have to do all that electronically.
We have computerized order and then inventory tracking.
Computerized ordering and inventory tracking.
We have social media for marketing purposes.
Y'all have something different? Basic computer skills.
Just calorie counting and recipe research and the time clock.
We put a point of sale system, whatever that would be, iPad, cash register.
Okay, good.
Equipment that when grills and things like that, thermometers, and then point of sale.
Same. What about our folks on the, did we lose?
We have creating menus, ordering online, managing inventory, and social media.
All right, so the key takeaway from this is that there needs to be a balance between those career and professional and academic skills, all while pulling in the digital literacy as well. Some of you already picked up on this. There's people, if you say food service, there's people in the front of the house, there's people in the back of the house, and there are so many things that you can cover. So go ahead to the next one. That is going to lead us into our next activity. In your handouts, there is an article in there. It's Safety at Work. We are going to give you 10 minutes to read this article and see if you can make any changes to the 4 squares that we just made. So as a food service manager, what sort of skills and knowledge would you need to have in order to make sure you protect the health of those who eat in your restaurant? And what skills and knowledge would you need as a food service employee? So you're going to read the article that's in there and see if you can add anything related to safety and health to your 4 square.
Okay. All right, let's report out. Did you have any academic skills that you could add to your graphic organizer? Anybody? Raise your hand. Oh, you should be going in.
Oh, statistical analysis.
We put scheduling and reading also.
What?
Scheduling the employees' work schedule.
Hey, Cindy.
Is that academic?
As far as writing, organizing.
Okay.
They got some stuff over here in the chat too, on academic. You want me to read it, or you want? Okay. Kim, you want to read it? Can they hear Kim? Kim? Okay, they can hear. Let me see if I can scroll up. They say go now, Kim.
Okay. For academic, I have images and talk about profit and some vocabulary, and also talk about germs and how they spread.
Anyone else for academics?
Reading comprehension of the manual, like company policy and things like that.
Supporting details.
Anyone else? Academic skills. All right, how about professional skills?
Y'all have any? Y'all want to go first? Okay, Kim is speaking again. Can we hear Mark? Kim is speaking again.
For professional, we have to talk about responsibility. They have, according to the article, they have responsibility of states that they were supposed to go to work, but there's also a responsibility with behind going to work sick. They need to know why you don't do that and so forth.
Any others for professional skills?
Conflict resolution. Conflict resolution.
How about career or sector skills?
Serve safe.
And then what about digital literacy?
No, only Jennifer's allowed to speak first.
Digital literacy will be, we were talking over here about how if you work at Burger King on this side of town, and you can pick up a shift.
She won't stay in front of the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you work at Burger King on this side of town, you may can pick up a shift on that Burger King, and so therefore you gotta have those digital literacy skills, so you can pick up, a digital scheduling system. Thank you, Christy.
Did you all have anything online? Okay. Y'all ready for them? Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Digital literacy and research, food poisoning.
All right, so as you can see on these 4 squares, we have a lot of content here, and also the odds of having a whole room full of people that want to go into food service are slim to none. You're going to have people that want to go into healthcare, construction, welding. So with that, you have the questions, how do I cover all of this material, and how do I make it relatable to everyone? So with that is your key takeaway 2. It's narrowing your focus. So you can create units that are based off of essential questions. So hence why Cindy and I are dressed like this. We took this, and you are going to make a safety unit with the essential question: what skills do students need to have in order to make sure they and others are safe at work? That could be in a healthcare setting, that could be in a welding lab, that could be in a food service job. You can take something that's maybe applicable to one student and make it generalizable to your whole entire classroom.
Because you have to have safety in every career. So if you've got 12 students in the class and you've got, let's say you have only 6 career pathways, you know that you're going to need to focus this down to what are you going to teach in the classroom that day. That's going to be very hard for teachers if they're trying to take just there's the people that are in food, you know, the food service, but they've got some folks over here in construction or welding, and then you've got a person that maybe is in something totally unrelated to those. But safety is something that would be a good focus, and where the teacher could take some academic skills and to contextualize those into that content of safety, not just food safety. So we're going to discuss what contextualized instruction looks like in the classroom by looking at a safety lesson plan. So in your handout, you should find a safety lesson plan, but it will say digital literacy, workplace safety lesson plan. And this is from the Teaching Skills That Matter. Sorry, thank you. All right, so with any lesson planning, your first step is to have your objectives. And that's basically what you've been trying to fill out. What do I want to teach my students? Now let's really get that down and focus it into what are the objectives going to be. So if you look at this workplace safety lesson plan, you see that the lesson is a digital literacy lesson plan, and it's around the content of workplace safety. It's going to incorporate North Star digital literacy. But let's look at the objectives. If you look at those objectives on page 1, you see that we have describe potentially unsafe behavior at work, read and understand the meaning of posted safety signs, do an internet search for images, create and share a document in Google Docs, and use simple formatting skills in Google Docs. So on the next page, I think it's on the next page. Maybe no, I think it's still on page 1. You have the college and career standards that match that. Excuse me. So we have one reading standard, and that comes from Reading Standard 7, where you're going to use visual information, and then you've got 2 writing standards and a speaking and listening standard. The speaking and listening standard actually is going to move over into the next lesson. I promise I don't have corona. I've just gotten choked. So what they'll do in that extended lesson is to actually present. They'll be in a teamwork, and they'll have a document, but then they'll have a presentation, and they'll have to present, and so you're going to have those speaking and listening standards that are going to be met in that. So when you're with your teachers, we talk about backwards design for learning. And what that means is that we look at the end. We begin with the end. And we look at, okay, what are my objectives? And now I've got to make my assessments match my objectives. Excuse me. All right, so we develop our assessments to let us see how we're going to make sure that our students master those objectives. And we put those objectives into I can statements for our students, and we call those learning targets. And that's just, you're just saying I can, and the student says the objective, right? I can talk about how to be safe at work. So once you have that assessment, then you know what the end is, and then you can have those learning activities that are going to get the student to that end or to meet that objective. And you already know what the assessment's going to be and how they need to master that. So you can make sure that your learning activities are going to actually get your students to that point. All right, if you look at the assessments here, you see that they're going to be observed with a team task. They're going to have a team product, which is going to be that Google Doc. Later in the extension lesson, they're going to share that. They're going to complete a worksheet, and then they got some exit tickets. And all of those, if you look into those learning activities through that lesson plan, you'll see that they're going to move the student to being able to take the assessment and to master that, and therefore master their objectives. But you also see that there are 4 objectives. Now, on your graphic organizer, you had a whole bunch of things, right? So as the teachers have got to narrow that down so that they can design a lesson that's going to teach content, but to contextualize and put those digital literacy skills in there. You know, if it's reading for comprehension, supporting details, looking at visuals and being able to comprehend what those visuals, and that's what this is, it's the safety signs. So that's the way we teach your teachers to develop their lesson plans, to begin with that end in mind. So if you go to the next slide, our key takeaway is that backwards design. What should the students be able to do, and how will that be measured? So we were not going to make you do a lesson plan because you're directors, you're not teachers. Now, if you were teachers, we would be all over that, right? We would be having them, your teachers are having to make lesson plans and contextualized instruction. Well, this, right now, they're having to take a lesson plan like this and teach it in their class. And then their next objective will be to actually write a contextualized lesson plan with that whole process that we just took you through. We took them through that. We didn't take them through that process. Links took them through that process in an entire day. And so we just gave you just a Reader's Digest version, you know, sorry. But now that you see that process, what we want to do is to give you the tools to be able to support your teacher and to observe and monitor and make sure that these things are happening. So Courtney is going to share with you how you can support your instructors.
Okay, so in there we also provided the follow-up lesson to the digital literacy workplace safety one in there. There's one about safety signs. In the Skill Up director's course, I put the links at the bottom for this session for those lessons, as well as other ones about financial literacy and civics. Those are all in the civics or Skill Up director's course if you would like to disseminate those to your instructors. There is also a blank lesson planning template if you would like to share that with your instructors. It provides guided questions, and the Foursquare is on there as well for you to give your instructors for planning. In your last handout for this session is an observation tool, and the key to following up on contextualized instruction is doing regular classroom observations, making sure that they're hitting all of these skills in their lessons and that it's applicable to all the learners. So there's questions on the back, there's 4 questions, and then on the front there are 5. Just a yes or no checklist for you to go through as you are observing your instructors, and then what we'll be looking for as well when we observe for monitoring. So that key takeaway 4 is providing the coaching, giving the teachers those tools, providing them access to the links lesson plans, the blank lesson planning template, and being transparent in what we're looking for. And so the summary of those takeaways is the striking a balance. There are 4 different domains here, making it applicable to all of those learners, narrowing the focus with how we started with food service, but brought it into safety and using that essential question to make it applicable to everyone. The backwards design, making sure we know what those mastery objectives are before we start, and then follow up and coaching for the instructors.
as directors, I would just, if I went into a classroom and I wanted to make sure that, even if I was looking at a IET, team teaching, whether I was going in to just look at my foundation or bridge level courses, I would be asking myself those questions that we just went through. What is happening in this lesson? What is the career sector skills? What are they doing? Is there a balance? Or are they only talking about the career? And I'm not seeing any academic work going on, because this is the basic skills class, and we should see them integrating those math skills and those reading skills and science or whatever those skills that they were going to work on that day. What we tend to see is they're heavy in one area and they're light in the other area. Or you just go in and you just see a straight up math class, right? You know, here's some problems, we're putting them on the board, but they're not integrating that into work in any way. How are they getting those digital literacy skills into that lesson? What are they having their teachers do? And are we seeing some work around the table for teamwork and those types of things? So look at all those areas so that you can help your teacher and then say, you know, I saw this was good, and this, but I didn't see anything in this area. What could you have added to have really made this a great contextual, you know, the instruction very contextualized, and help your teachers out with that, because they're just learning now how to do that. They're real good at, you know, I can get up there and I can teach some math, right? But how can I make that where the students understand it and how to use it? I just take this example. The other day, I was working with my niece, and she did not understand what was going on. Probably because I didn't really understand myself. But I was trying to teach her, but it was converting, repeating decimals into fractions. And I'm like, what job does this? When would she ever need this? How can I help her learn this by making this in context? And I couldn't find anything, and Google couldn't tell me. So, you know, it's making it relevant for the students so that they learn it, because if they you know how they are, if they use fractions every day on a job, they'll learn that. So make it where it's important to them. Okay? Any questions? We want you to feel comfortable helping your teachers and supporting them. And this will be a good thing for you as you look at your SSLOs about what are those academic skills that need to be integrated for that sector, that career sector.